Yo, the hardest thing about investing is getting started the right way. The second hardest thing about investing is continuing to do it for long enough and the right way that you get rich and you have the option to retire early. Today I'm sharing with you a free tool that helps you do that second thing. It helps you to continue because you'll be motivated because you'll understand exactly how much money you have and what that means for your life. It reminds me whenever you're playing a video game and you know what your exact score is. You know what the level of your character is. You know if you're progressing or not. You're on track. And we don't have that for investing, but now we have a version of that via this free thing I'm giving you today. For me, knowing exactly how I'm doing whenever I'm investing and just financially in general keeps me way more motivated and keeps me realizing that yes, I should keep investing. I need to let that $700 per paycheck go and just get out there and get invested because otherwise I might quit. What this tool does exactly is tell you whether or not you're ready to retire. And it tells you how far away you are and how much more money you need exactly until you can retire. Ask yourself, how much money do you need invested to be able to retire? And technically I call this a Coast-Fi calculator, but it's really for anybody. If you haven't heard of Coast-Fi, it just means Coast Financial Independence. The idea with this is that you can aggressively save for a while, and then once you have enough saved to cover your basic expenses, you can really turn down that aggression level and still retire comfortably at a later age. And this concept of Coast-Fi is getting more and more popular because people are realizing, hey, there's benefits to achieving financial independence, but I also need to enjoy my life now. I can't just shoot for someday, for some financial independence goal out there and miss the next 10 years of my life because all I do is work and save. All right, let's move the axe out of the way and open up my calculator here so that we can look at exactly how much more money we need to invest before we're financially independent. Blow this up a little bit so we can see it a little bit better. First and foremost, for you to use this for yourself, the first thing you've got to do is make a copy for yourself. So you go to File, Make a Copy, and then it will duplicate it to your own Google. I'm gonna make this like protected so that if you go in here and you try and start typing in your own numbers, it's not gonna let you type that in, it's gonna stop you. And so whenever you get that message, don't request access from me, just go File, make yourself a copy, then you can use this calculator. So what you're gonna do is enter your own numbers in these areas that are white. Anything that is this pretty light turquoisey blue color, you leave that alone. That's for me and my calculations to give you as a result. And then all these little squares here that have a black corner means that I've left a note in there. And so it really describes what that thing is for you. It's like a little description of what exactly you're putting into this box. A lot of these online spreadsheets and things that I've used in the past from other people aren't explanatory enough. And so you have a little note there in that section of what everything is. Then you also have other tabs down here. So this one, info about returns. So if you're like going, hey, I don't know what to put in here as far as my inflation adjusted growth rate. What kind of return should I expect to earn here? That's really what this is. Inflation adjusted growth rate is just a fancy term for what return you're going to actually get on your money, which means how much money you're earning by investing it. That's what that means. So if you want more information about that, you can go to this tab here and say, here's a little bit of info for you. Here's historically what people have made. Here's a chart with a historical return. So if you have like no clue, then you can use some of the numbers that I've generated in here. But if you're really optimistic and you want to put in something higher, by all means, do your thing. Also, another tab here, information about safe withdrawal rates. So it explains what a safe withdrawal rate is. It explains what your kind of philosophy can be around them. And if you're really optimistic, maybe you have an aggressive safe withdrawal rate. If you want to be really not risky and you want to be pessimistic, then you can set yourself up with a safe withdrawal rate, an even safer safe withdrawal rate. One-stop shop with this thing. Let's plug some numbers in and play around with it. So the first box here is the current amount invested. Let's say that you've got $65,000 invested. It's in some index funds, maybe you have an individual stock here and there, but it's all invested money. This is not savings account money. This is not cash you have under your mattress. This is not checking account. This is invested in the stock market. And then let's say your current age is 28. You're doing pretty well. You've got an early start here. It's a decent amount of money to have invested for those of us that don't make crazy incomes. And then your retirement age is just the age you plan on retiring. So let's say you want to be a little more optimistic here. You want to retire at 62, okay? A safe withdrawal rate of 4% is right dead center of typical. 3% would be like, I want to be really, really safe. 5% would be, I want to be a little more risky. I've seen people like Dave Ramsey recommend as much as 10%, which is way too risky for me. So let's say that you're a little bit on the optimistic side. You're going to do 4.2%. And if you're not familiar with that term, safe withdrawal rate is just saying of all of the money that you have when it comes time for you to retire at age 62, you're going to take out 4.2% per year. There's studies around that number. Look up the Trinity study or look at my old videos if you want to see safe withdrawal rate videos. Then our inflation adjusted growth rate is the return that we expect to get. Again, you're a fairly optimistic person, so let's say it's 8.55%. Why not? We got a spreadsheet, let's use it. And then annual expenses is the amount you expect to spend in retirement. Now, typically people don't spend as much in retirement as they do whenever they're still working before retirement, and that number typically goes down and down and down with age. That's just kind of how it works. That's what the statistical numbers do. Now, if you're like me and maybe you're dreaming of your glory days being filled with Porsches and other interesting cars, maybe that average doesn't totally work for you. But for most of us, that's the way it's going to go. So let's say you're 28 and you live on $40,000 now. You know your lifestyle is going to inflate and you're going to live on more than that, maybe in your 40s and 50s. But then by the time you retire, you're just going to live on $50,000 per year, period. Then I've got a spot here in case you plan on working a little bit in retirement, in case you plan on having some kind of side hustle or some other passive income that feeds you income from somewhere else. You can put in that amount here, and that's annual. So it's not monthly passive income, annual passive income. So now we get to the fun part. So what these calculations have told us now is that your financial independence number, the amount of money that you need to retire at age 62, with these expectations that you've inputted yourself here, is $1.19 million. Not a crazy amount, but not a small amount either. The fact of the matter is that you've only got 65 grand, and so you need a lot more. Wow, that number is super wrong. I just caught a big mistake in the formula here. You need a lot more than $8,000. You need millions of dollars more. We need to fix that. There we go. This is now fixed, and you will get access to the fixed version. Your Coast-Fi number. So what this would mean is today, if you had this much money and you left it invested at 8.55% until you were 62, you technically wouldn't need to invest again. You could kind of stop investing altogether and still hit this FIRE number, still hit this financial independence number. And so the total amount more that you would need just in perspective is 1.1 million. But if this year somehow you come into another 9 or 10 grand, you have that invested, technically you're already at Coast-Fi, which is amazing. That means that you're basically done investing. In theory, by the numbers, you're good. Now, if we want to have a different example here, let's say you're 24 and you've only got $2,000 invested. I'm sure this is where a lot of people stand. Let's say all the other factors are about the same. You still need the same amount total whenever you're at 62. You're going to spend 50 grand a year. You still need that same lump sum, if you will, but your Coast-Fi number is less because you're younger. That makes sense, right? You're 24 instead of 29, so you actually need less today to be able to coast for the rest of your life. And so the gap between the amount you have invested and your Coast-Fi number is pretty substantial. Like unless you come into 50 grand this year, you're kind of screwed. As far as Coast-Fi goes, you can obviously catch back up to this. Here, I'll add one more note as far as Coast-Fi goes, just to make sure this is clear for everyone who's using this, even if you don't want to come back and watch this video later. So I just wrote that Coast-Fi is the amount of money you need invested today to be able to stop investing entirely, or at least really slow down your investing and still retire at that age you chose up there. So let's use this calculator now as an early retirement calculator. Let's say you're 24, you've only got $2,000 invested, but you're going to finish law school and you know that you're going to make a crazy income. Way to go, good for you. You're going to plan on living on 120 grand per year, but you're also going to retire earlier, which means you're not going to live that typical lawyer lifestyle and drive some new Lexus GX and have a Porsche for the weekends and whatever. You're going to retire as early as possible. So let's see what you're up against if you want to retire at 40. Watch how drastic these numbers change. Ready? Retirement age, 40, boom. So your financial independence number, based on getting this return of 8.55%, spending 120 grand per year with no passive income, is 2.85 million. Substantial sum. Your Coast-Fi number that you would need today at 24 is 768,000, which is a lot. And really what the coast-fi number telling you is, based on these top 3 factors, how close or how far are you to being able to coast from now on? And if the difference between your current age and your retirement age is small, like it is here, that typically means it's going to be really hard for you. And if you don't have a lot invested now, it's going to be hard for you. So you have a lot more that you need. But let's say by the time you're 26, you have 200,000 invested. That's still a difficult situation. You'd really better be killing it here. Let's say by the time you're 28, you've got $500,000 invested. Wow. You better be making a lot of money at that law firm to catch up with this coast-fi number. Even though you got $500,000 in the bank, to be able to reach this number that fast is a substantial savings rate. That retiring early is tricky. Now let's see how much lower that coast-fi number can be as we push out that retirement age. Let's say instead of 40, you want to retire at 45. That coast-fi number dropped by almost 300 grand, 708,000. Let's say you're 28, you're burned out the law firm, you're going to go teach rock climbing to people in like the Red River Gorge, and you're not going to do this anymore. How early could you still retire? How about 48? Ooh, almost there. 49? Ooh, you're basically there. 50, coast-fi, boom. You're good. So does that make sense how I use that there, and how I can say we can have a fixed variable here in the amount you have invested, or we can have a fixed variable down here in your retirement age and figure out, can I make enough money to catch up, or maybe I want to push out my retirement age and not have to worry about retiring so early and having so much money right now. Maybe it's okay if I retire a little bit later. If you have any questions about how to use this, or if it's confusing, then send me an email or leave me a comment here, because I literally read every comment. For good or bad, mental health probably is taking a hit because of that, because there's some real trolls out there. But I love making videos for you guys. I love making a tool like this that could potentially help you on your financial journey. And so if something doesn't make sense, or if I need to make an edit, just leave me a comment. We'll make it happen. Ask any question that you might have, leave it in a comment, or send me an email. Ask all you want. So as you just saw, my tool is simple and great, but nowadays there's a lot of worthwhile tools for those of us who want to track our money. I still use a spreadsheet for my coast-fi calculations, or just my investing calculations in general. And I also use one for my personal budget, because I don't really love a lot of the budgeting options out there, but I wish there were more and better services. I'm just learning about a few. And I just learned about this one that seems cool called Stock Market Eye, which is this investment tracker thing that tracks all your brokerages and combines them on one screen so you can see what's really happening. I wish that was around back in 2009 whenever I started investing, because my spreadsheet looks like this and it kind of sucks. So my point is that you should be able to find a system or a service or some tool out there that you can use to manage your money well, even if it's not mine. Maybe it's Stock Market Eye, maybe it's Personal Capital, or it's Mint, or it's something else out there that helps you to know where you stand. And the secret comment word for today is for you to comment the way that you do your budgeting. So if you have some awesome app or program that you use or that you wrote, then that would be really interesting. So let me know in a comment. Thanks. See you next time. I even have some Lumberjack undies on.